Okay, you got me back because you got me open. Hey, I got the silky one, y'all. And listen, I did this in two segments because I wanted to make sure I gave each individual a chance to have a certain amount of time, and I wanted it to be between he and I, okay, not us. All right. So what I want to do, I don't even think this man needs an introduction. However, Sam Silk. Now, a lot of you guys don't know. I knew Sam Silk when I used to DJ at the Mirage. That's the first time we met, right?
On the water.
Mirage on the water. I used to DJ down there. And what Sam was, I did not know Sam had the entrepreneur bug like he has right now. I was actually shocked when he just blew all the way up with some of the best fish and chicken in the city, you guys. So without further ado, Mr. Sam Silk. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Larry?
You got it. You got it. Hey, well,
I'm
good. I'm good.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you, because you know what I'm trying to do in the community, and you're doing the same thing. You're trying to inspire businesses, and by you being a businessman. So that's pretty much what we want to talk about. We want to talk about two things. First of all, a lot of people don't know your background, possibly, of where you came from, and just some of the things that you came out of, and what inspired you. So I'm going to let you go with that. Well, tell us about who you are.
Well, I'm a husband, father, from Chi-Town. / Cleveland. Been in Cleveland since I got here in '99.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, I always wanted to do what I do. It's amazing how things happen with you. So I used to pretend to be on the radio. I used to sit and record radio shows of all formats. And I would then go and record my own. Like we're sitting here now doing this. I would when you get your microphone, I would go get Tone Master tapes. I would record the commercials off the radio. I would go to the record store and buy 45s.
Oh, you telling your age there, man? Yeah. 45s.
And I would play the music, and I would do the show. I was so into it that I would use those commercials. I recorded off the radio so it can sound real, and I would give it to people in the neighborhood. Let them check it out. Like, man, check out my radio show. Check out my radio show. I wasn't even thinking about being on the radio. It was just something I just did. And a friend of mine from doing that said, hey, her name is Marcella Walton. She said, I was still in high school at the time. She says, look, I have at my college, there's a radio station. And I can get you on because I'm a student there. And so that's when I did my first radio show. And I used to carry my records up there. Basically, I was sneaking to be on the radio. And I would be on the radio, Larry. It first started on Wednesday. And then I'll be on from 9 to 12. It's amazing I can remember all that, right? And then on Sundays, because me and her went to the same church. And on Sundays, I stopped going to church during the day and would go down I would drop my mom off, and then I'd come down to the station. And I'd be on that station from 11 a.m. to about 7 o'clock at night.
Oh, you love what you do. You love what you do, man.
And I would take my records up there and do that. And it one day it happened. It happened with me being, consistent, persistent in what I was doing. And then, the story goes on and on and on from there. And, then here I am now. I'm talking to you. You know what I'm saying? Years later.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning of it. And even with that, working doing catering during that time, I was 16.
Wait a minute, hold on. So you always was into food and music.
Yeah, food and music. Had no clue at that time that I would one day be where I am. Eventually, once I got old, I said, "This is what I want to do." But during that time, coming up as a kid, I was just doing what I saw. Saul Hall, who was our baseball coach, who sang in a radio choir in Chicago at church. He had an opportunity to hire the young people at the church and give us jobs. And so I got a job. I always had a job. I worked at the car wash. I had to get money. You know what I'm saying? At one point, I was living house to house. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the hundreds. All I gotta say, Chicago. You know.
Yeah, I know.
Cleveland, Chicago. You know how it is.
I know. I know. You're ducking, you're dodging, you're trying to keep it
all
up
the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there were people that left an impression on you, and they got us involved, and that's how I got into.
Who made the largest impression on you, man? Can you put his name out there or organization? Where was it? Who did that?
I mean, I would have to say for me, it was a community of folks, but it definitely
love that.
What I liked about the church I grew up in, and this stick with me to today. Everything that I saw then is, has something to do where I'm at now today. Makes sense? They had, outside of giving you the word of God
first,
absolutely, but we had the pastor then, he had a baseball team. So he made sure that those who want to play baseball, you can play baseball. You had basketball. You had volleyball. You had the Boy Scouts. You had the Girl Scouts.
Wow. You had a community.
You're right. You know what I'm saying? You had individuals who went there who all played their position. You know what I mean? One of the people I always speak highly of him is Mr. Jones, Herbert Jones, our neighbor. My childhood friend's father always gave back to everybody in the neighborhood. He always just look. You know them guys or the mothers who just look out. And so
we used to call them rent parties. Mama can't pay rent. Sell them dinners. Yeah.
Mr. Jones was that guy. He wasn't just a father to his five. He was a father to those in the neighborhood.
In the community. Yes. That's right.
Community. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So again, to answer that question, it was many people who were playing that position at that time. You know what I mean? It's not like they was there all the time. Well, I was all the time, but the times I was there, they played their position.
So they knew you as your whatever, who your mom was.
Yeah.
They knew your family.
Everybody.
Yeah. So if you got in trouble or something like that, then it wasn't about locking you up or shooting you. Pretty much,
no.
It was because they knew who you were, and they can always say that is Mrs. Silk's son.
Yeah.
Okay,
does Pat know you over here on this
come on, there you go. That's what I was trying to get
Pat
at.
Does Sam know you? So that was we. And again, I'm in the Wild Hundreds.
Yeah,
it was like watching Boys in the Hood. You knew it was something going on. You know what I'm
all
saying?
The time.
But we still had a community. There was codes. There was even ethics. You know what I'm
saying?
There
you go.
Code of ethics.
Keyword
on
ethics. That's
on
right.
how you do certain things. You know what I'm saying?
That was respect.
Yeah,
that's what was given. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's coming up from there, and then again, going back to the radio part, I used to play jokes on the radio station. So I used to prank call the radio station. I was so in tune to me being on the radio that I would sneak up to the station because they was off the air. You had to turn the switch off. I was the one that turned the station off. You had to turn it on. The station was never always on the air.
Oh my God!
So you get the key from the security. Then I persuade. I wasn't a student, but everybody at the college knew me. Everyone in the projects heard me on the air. That's how I got the chance to DJ certain stuff. I'll go up there and do the radio. So then I would go up early in the morning and do a morning show, imitate a morning show, and I would prank call WGCI Doug Banks, who became my mentor. Looked out. You know what I'm saying?
So he had been on the air pretty much. That was someone that you listened to.
That's someone I listened to.
Okay.
Someone I listened to. And then Jammin' Dave Michaels. He was really one of the instrumental people who played a part. And this is the reason why I'm telling all this. So he played a part. I asked him, now this is a big time job, big time radio personality. He came in, me and him connected, and he came in and sat in on my little show.
Oh man, that had to be something.
Yes. And then he says, man, why don't you do this for real? Why don't you go ahead and go to school? I said, well, I tried Columbia School of Broadcasting, but they pulled out on us. We showed up one day and they were shut down. So my little hopes was like, took the money and ran. school was just shut down. We showed up one semester, it was gone. So I went to Kennedy King College and said, man, let me really go ahead and do this. So I went to Kennedy King College in Chicago. They had an actual radio station, Oprah Winfrey Studios, pretty much. They had the same equipment. She like donated money or whatever, to the city college. And they had a radio station, and it was, when I tell you, it was, people knew about it. It's like Instagram today. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was, you had Biggies, the Diddies, and folks was still short because during that time, radio wasn't playing. It wasn't playing hip hop until after. You know how it was.
I know exactly.
Until after a certain time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? After a certain time.
They don't know the struggle.
Right, exactly. So that station allowed us to be able to have one of the first hip hop shows in the country that artists would travel all the way to Chicago just to be on that college radio station, Pink House, where Pink House blew up. And
Pink House, what was that about?
Pink House was a trailblazer. He was man, before his time. I would call him the king of hip hop radio. He broke artists. He put artists on. Rap House came on 2 times a week. One day on Sundays, and I forgot what was the other day, Saturday nights.
Unsung heroes.
Pink House, man. Like, we should never forget him. I mean, one of the best to do it. It would be him and like you got like a him and a Lenny B. So in Cleveland we had Lenny B. Who did the hip hop show.
Right.
And so you had Pink House in Chicago who did the hip hop show.
So you're living your dream right now.
Hey man, it's a blessing. You have to live your dreams. One, never stop dreaming. Dream till it becomes a reality, and then dream on top of the reality, and then keep on dreaming so it stays, real. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And I'm gonna tell you something, Sam. One of the things that, and another reason why I wanted to talk to you on air is you and I, we have conversations, and I know you're consistent. First off, you always put God first.
You have to, man.
Okay.
I know no other way.
Hello. Okay. There is no other way. There is no other way. And I just see what he's done for you. Yeah. Okay. And so I want to make sure that you understand that's not a sign of weakness. And some of the young adults, they may think it is, and they've been told different stories about who God may or may not be. But I'm going to say, first off and foremost, get to know him and see the change. Oh, you better say that. And that's what it's about. But Sam, we had talked about some other things. I first wanted for them to understand, your background, but we talked about your business. And one of the things that bothered me and bothers me to this day is just how we look at Black businesses. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you and I, we discussed it. And I remember we were talking about some of the issues that we face as entrepreneurs, how we tried to make a difference and we put all of our efforts into that business. That business then becomes our face. That's who we are. And just a lot of times the community, they will receive you well, but have one problem. Mm-hmm. Make one mistake that's out of your control because you're hiring people from the community. You said something that was very interesting to me. You said, listen, Larry, I'm not going to get that person that lives maybe in Westlake or Brook Park or Rocky River even. Mm-hmm. I have to hire from within my community. Correct. Could you explain? And
yeah, so when I say that, you have a lot of people who in our communities, I get tired of the comparisons or to us running to other communities to spend that dollar. And then they make comments about, well, when I go to the Westlake McDonald's, it ain't like the one in my, I'm like, what is that? What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? I mean, or the malls. When you look at, not just in Cleveland, when you look at many cities around the country, we talk about malls that used to be in our communities. Why they're not there? But we will run and drive
100 miles.
And we drive out there. We feel proud about when we go out there and spend our money. We had a nice day way out.
We brag about it. I don't even go there. I go out here.
Yeah. And listen, you have the right. So let me say this.
That's right.
You have the right to spend your money wherever you want to. Mm-hmm. And I also want to be clear because sometimes people, they only pick one piece of what you say. So let me be clear. We have to our communities have to make sure that we do an outstanding job and go out our way to give great services. So let me be clear there. The challenges are, or some of the simple things, is that it's hard to teach someone how to be nice. It's basic things that you have to treat. You have to do that, or you can't teach.
But you only inherit the negative. That's the crazy part.
Correct. So go back over everything I mentioned in this conversation. I said it was this guy here, this woman here.
That's right.
This person there.
That's right.
We have to, in our communities, continue to do what we did then, but in a new form, to be able to love on our people so they can be able to have the common. I'm talking about our kids, because now they'll grow up. You know what I'm saying? Remember we should say yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Oh my God. It was a requirement for me.
Correct. You get bopped.
Yeah, hey, and you get bopped if you dip in a conversation when you're not being talked to.
Right. And so we have a lot of challenges in our communities that need to be handled, need to be talked about. So let me say this. It is very for anybody to own anything in our communities. You do it for, it's not just about you making money. It's about you making people better.
And you're investing in that.
You're investing because with an entrepreneur, a lot of people don't know the story. They think you open up a business, you're rich. You got it like that.
Look what he's driving.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so it's rough on an entrepreneur because one, you're taking a chance on your community. You're saying, okay, let me offer a service to my community. And so what happens is you have to depend on, or people for, you're reaching out to them for, you want to give them services, but you also are employing people. So you are contributing to the tax dollars, to the school system
that
to the
supports
library.
That community.
Yes, that's what your business does. See, people don't look at that.
No, they don't understand it.
Right, don't understand it. And it's okay. It's okay.
Yes.
But when a business opens up in your community, it supports what your kids or what you do.
Preach.
Your lifestyle.
That's correct. Your house.
Your house.
The services.
And if a lot of those businesses pull out, what happens to your taxes?
They go up.
So,
and you want to keep your taxes down? You want an inviting community where businesses want to come and invest, because that's what it is. It's an investment, in your community.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Continue, Sam.
So we have to get out of this mentality that we don't deserve to be at the table. And a lot of people have been brainwashed and don't know it.
Programmed totally.
To think that you get better from leaving your community.
No, you don't.
Why is that?
Let me tell you something. I said this at one of my other podcasts. I remember there was a time when there was getting ready to be a march into the suburbs. It was headed by a civil rights group. And they had asked Malcolm X, they said, what do you think about the march, and will you be a part of it? We're moving. We want to have equality. We want individuals to let us in and be a part of their suburb that they are building out there. And Malcolm says, march? He said, you mean the parade? And then, and then he said something like that. And he said, you know who leads the parade? Clowns. And he said, why don't we do it right here? See, listen, what they have left us with, it may be broken down. It may need some fixing up. But wouldn't it be better to build where you are, where you already know your community, where you can put those different businesses in that's going to support your school system? What do? We start criticizing it, and we are agreeing with those very things that are forcing us into the stereotype mentality. And what I noticed, even with what you're doing, you're not investing in other communities. You're in Maple Heights. You're on Lee Road. You're over here in Garfield. Okay. And I know that you struggle getting good people. We deal with a lot of different issues that a lot of other races may not deal with. Now, I'm not criticizing anything or anybody. It's very important that we include all individuals. Here,
Yeah.
but one of the
And you, what you don't want to do, so I want to be clear, and this is being smart. You don't want to just, well, I don't want to just say I'm only want to be here.
You can't.
I want to be everywhere.
You want to grow.
I want the brand to be, I'm going to be,
there you go,
a brand that everyone knows, not just a brand that only these
African Americans know, because that's important. You got to diversify your dollar. You have to.
You have to be.
That's right.
I want to be great in every community.
Right.
I want the same. And does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. What you're saying is this is where I could start at.
And
okay.
You want to start.
You want to start right there. This is where you can start at, right?
What happens to those who criticize when certain people, you're talking about the suburbs, when certain people from their communities finally hit, they went on and did what they supposed to in college.
Right.
Great, wonderful. And with those high-paying jobs, they moved from those communities that they grew up in.
That's correct.
I'm not judging.
But
there's nothing wrong with that. But my point is, they chose to go elsewhere, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what But how much do we leave back? How much are we? Even if it's just you come into that community, being able to talk to them, going to the schools, and being able to, to still build it.
I'm going to hit you with something else. Gentrification.
Yeah.
If it wasn't valuable, why do they reclaim it? Do I need to say anything else? Do you understand? Look, I went to Georgia. Mm-hmm. There was a part of Georgia that was known as a severe ghetto. Mm-hmm. Sam, you can't buy a house there for under $700,000 now.
But again,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But let me say this though. Mm-hmm. Let me be fair, as my godmama, Mama Curl would say.
Okay.
I could talk about Chicago, the Bronzeville area. That sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, when it was Bronzeville before
I know
everybody else got into it.
I already know where you're going with that. Yep.
They were offering if we would buy it.
Right.
They were offering. And you know what I'm saying? There was, you can buy this land for this, you can buy that land for that. And some of us wasn't educated. I know I was younger. I didn't have no dollars to go and buy something up over there. And so some of us made, not because there were some who were, we didn't collectively come together before they took Big Mama's home. They offered her that money.
Oh my God.
Before they,
we just had this conversation.
Did not know, like some of those homes, all they did was refurbish them homes. The same thing. Go to Harlem. You know what I'm saying? They refurbished these, and now the area is ridiculous. Homes are $1 million, $2 million. When these homes, these lots were going for $1. You buy the land, get it, or get a refurbished, fix it up, build it. A lot of people missed out on that.
So let's talk about the solutions now. Okay.
Yes.
How do we get them to understand what you have is only as valuable as what you put in it?
Yes.
If you don't put nothing in it, then nothing will grow in it. If you create holes, it's going to go right through it. And what are we talking about holes? Let me tell you what holes are. Not electing the right local individuals to help you support that community. When you allow anybody to come in your community and control you with fear, with just being a friend without lining up with some of your values, you are putting your kids ahead of that. I mean, you're putting them ahead of your kids. You're putting them ahead of your home. When you elect officials that are not worthy of their seat, you are putting them ahead of your values. And that's a huge problem. Another thing, I have a problem with this, Sam, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want you, Sam is not saying this. I'm saying this. Black folks, if you want to be better, you got to do better. We got a problem. We want to blame other people, but we need to look at ourselves. We have a problem. Don't tell me how we got here, because usually, Sam, if you go on a journey, as long as you are in control after a while, you know how to get back and you know how to correct the problems along the way.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Right.
Okay. And when you reach your destination, you know what it takes for that place that you're going to be successful and for you to be happy there. We keep blaming other people, but the problem is not other people. Problem is us. And if you don't believe it, you're not pouring into your kids. You can't go to you can't expect something in your community that you do not understand is valuable first to you. The first place that child comes out of is your house, but you want the teacher to raise them. You want the school board to be responsible for creating a curriculum that you approve of. And when they don't, the only thing you do is complain. Why don't you get involved? Then you say stuff like this. Well, both of us working, we're trying to keep the roof over your head. So I say to the school board, okay, why can't we collectively find a way to meet the parents halfway? So I say to your politicians, why don't you do something besides just work for your next election? Listen, this is not about being political. This is about, look at the disaster that we have created out here. Our kids are getting killed like they're playing a game show, like they're going to come back tomorrow, Sam, and ain't nobody paying attention to this, you know?
And again, you know, it takes folks like, you know, yourself, like me, to when you mentioned solutions, is because we can't save everybody.
No, you're not. You're not.
So you have a to me, an obligation.
There you go.
Whenever you have a time to mentor or to speak,
there you
someone,
go.
you don't have to overdo it.
No, you don't.
And be an example.
There you go.
You know,
create an opportunity is what you're saying.
That's when you do that. There are some who want to hear you, who want to see. I said this to myself earlier today. I said, "Oh, I gotta make sure I keep more young folk around."
There you go.
Who want to be around.
And you can learn from young folks. I thank God for LaRon. LaRon, this brother right here, I love him, his son. And the reason is he came on, he said, Larry, I see the bigger picture. You see what I'm saying? If I call him, he shows up. He said, what time you need me? And see, that's giving of yourself.
But it also goes back to how, what I mentioned earlier, I always go back to the beginning, is how he was raised.
There you go.
Who he saw. And you feel me?
I know exactly what you're saying.
So when you mentioned something about she got a job, we both. So one of the differences now is that, you know, times are hard. As far as times were hard then, but both parents are working to keep the roof over their head, and so now the child can suffer from that. So you have to figure out
what's valuable. Exactly. What's your priorities?
We have to figure out how to make that, you know what I'm saying, not so, and still be able to invest in them. And now let me say this.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Your future.
Yeah. You know, and you can't keep coming up with these excuses and stop it. I work every day. There's not a day that I don't work.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I may get a couple hours of sleep. And I'm working to give me some, a morning too. But I do 2 radio shows a day. I go to maybe 3 of my businesses a day. I take my son to school. I take my son to basketball practice. I take my son to his games. I take him to his baseball practice.
Wow.
I take him to all that. Okay.
And you still run your business
on the radio. And I still do that.
What, you got 28 hours or something, man?
You know what I'm saying? On in a day? It's the grace and it's the mercy of God. Yeah. And it's me wanting to be.
No, it's you understanding. Yeah. See, you have an understanding. And see, and what he is saying is this: you find a way to make it work. What we do so many times, we look for excuses to say why it will not work. We don't understand the value of sacrificing. Yes. And that's a problem
you gotta be
for
careful
me.
With excuses.
That's all we get.
Because they amount to nothing.
They amount to absolutely nothing. And you will not grow.
Right.
My mom used to say this: excuses are like buttholes. Everybody got one. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? But listen, Sam, another thing that I want to get back on is when you are running a business, listen, a lot of you don't understand what goes into a business. First off, and I want to break it down. I'm going to simplify it so you will, because I've had a lot of them. First off, you have to trust the people that you put on your cash register. Wait a minute. Hold on. You don't have no choice, because you can't, especially you have to be in 5 different places at one time. You have to trust those people. Okay. Or you have to have a system so trust is not an issue. Either one. And they still find a way, even when you do it that way.
Find a way.
They still find a way. I was talking to Phil the Fire today earlier. And he told me, because I know Phil very well.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, just about every business Phil has had, he's always came and said, Larry, you got to believe this. He had everything from push-ups to inventing microwaves, chicken and waffles, all kind of stuff. And I'm always the person, that said, okay, Phil, what you got? And then now he's cooking, he's doing pies, and he's doing he's actually doing vitamins for African Americans. He's calling it something else. And I commend him because I like Phil. Phil is a very sharp guy. A lot of people don't realize how smart he is. But I noticed something about you. I watch you grow. Okay. I watch you come here and I watch you grind. I remember when you first opened up your first one on Lee Road. You remember that?
Yeah.
I had came in there.
I wasn't even open yet.
No, yeah.
Wasn't open yet.
And I came in, I said, Sam, that's beautiful, man. At the time, Sam, I'm going to tell you what happened to me. I had no darn idea of what it took to actually be involved in my community and run a business. I opened up Basque Entertainment, and I kid you not. And I was telling Phil this. There was a young barmaid that had ripped off everybody in the community, and everybody knew she was a thief. They knew it. And somebody who claimed they were my friend sent her to me, told me to hire her. They said, oh, Larry, you should hire her. She's one of the best barmaids out here. I'm going to show you how we do each other. I didn't know. I was dumb as a boxer. I admit it. I was straight stupid. When I tell you stupid, I should have never opened up a nightclub in my life. I didn't know nothing because that was not my lane. So I hired her, Sam. The first night she hit me for $1,800. She didn't just go up in me. She went through me. I knew I was 18. So I looked at the camera. She was sticking it, in that special spot down there. Tore my mouth out. Wow. At the same time, I was having food go out my kitchen. They wasn't just taking 2 or 3 wings, Sam. They was taking boxes. And I'm steady reordering. I didn't know what I was doing, man. I'm buying liquor. I'm not counting my shots. I'm not doing none of that. Okay. When I'm looking at all the money that I was supposed to be making, I should have did well. I was probably losing, and I'm not exact. I was probably losing about between $1,000 to $2,000 a night. Okay. It broke me. It tore my mouth out. Then I figured out what was going on. It took me about maybe 5 to 6 months. And I said, okay, I know what's going on. So now I knew I had to be there every day. Every single solitary day. I put cameras low. I put cameras high. I started counting my shots. I started marking the bottles. I started doing my own inventory. I moved everybody out the way. I said, I got to know this.
Right,
okay.
Right.
And I did. Now, one of the things that you don't understand, you have to pay taxes. On top of all of your taxes, you got to pay a royalty tax if you're playing music. Everybody think because you have a business that you're making all this money. You really don't make money until you sell it. You understand what I'm saying? And then I'm going to tell you something. When the club burnt down, you know how my brothers and sisters did me? The ones that was calling me, telling me what to do and everything and controlling. They told everybody, yeah, he burnt it down. He sure did. That was all him. He did it. He needed the money. He shouldn't have had it no way. But these are the same people that was he and ha-haing in my face. Big, large corporations and groups of affiliations that I had with so-called groups. And I'm not going to call that their name. They were the biggest. Okay. And they actually invited me into their group. And then they was having most of their functions at my group. And then they turn around and dog me like you wouldn't believe it. I tried to get different people to help me manage my money. They took advantage of me. I was just messed up and I was crazy. And when I tell you I was so stressed out, I couldn't believe it because I was on the verge of losing everything. And I told you who I had to borrow some money from. So it was really nervous for me. So when my spot burned down, I didn't even know I had insurance. My wife let me believe for 4 days that I didn't because I had told her we can't afford insurance because I had so many people stealing from me. You know what I'm saying? I said, I can't afford it. I said, baby, just wait. I said, ain't nothing going to happen. I said, I hired a beautiful electrician. I had all these good. I said, this place can't burn down. We blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? The place burned to the ground. I thought I was done. More than that, I thought I was dead. It was over for me. I lost everything, I thought. 4 days went by and my wife, she did it. She said, and she threw an insurance policy on it. Now, it wasn't for the full amount, but it was for enough to get me out of the hole. You see what I mean? It's a good thing when you have a good woman. God bless you, man. Because if you got that, you got, because I was stupid. I wasn't stupid in one way. I was stupid in the understanding where I was at when I opened up this. And then listen, this is what we also talked about. Now you got Silks over there in Maple Heights, right?
Yeah.
A beautiful spot. It really is. Okay. And you do I see what you're doing, or you always are promoting great organizations. I listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You always having programs to talk about different issues like we're doing here.
Right.
Okay. And you do a lot. I see that. But what you don't know is this: he has to have security. It's like the vice squad at the door. At the door. Hold on, because I'm laughing. But if he don't,
You saw him.
yeah, I
man.
did see that. Hold on. Then he got to make sure that he there every night, because if he don't, they're gonna notice it. And when he ain't here, so they're gonna try to go up in him. I'm sorry. If in our community, we have to invest so much to protect what we are trying to put in the bank compared to other communities where they get it. They understand if we work together as a team, then we can achieve something together. Why is it that we are the only ones that don't understand the value here is creating something that we all can benefit from? Having communities and having businesses in your community so your taxes will be lower. And then working together in city council and different city halls so that you can invite different businesses in place, and not judging us because of our skin color. Look, judge me on the service that I give you. If I give you terrible service, then you're right. But let that be a deciding factor. Don't walk into my place simply because I'm black and think that I'm not going to give you good service, or use that as an excuse to talk about something you know absolutely nothing about. Sam, you are doing a great job in the community, and I want to commend you. And I've learned a lot just from taking the time to listen. I was not always this person. I had to grow to this person. I had to be educated all over again with my old butt.
Well, let me tell you something. As long as we live,
Yeah.
you can learn something.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be willing to learn something. And again, to our communities, it takes, like you said, now you've been educated. You're doing the right thing. You educating. You taking this young man under your wings, and you giving people an opportunity, a platform to do what you're doing here, which is amazing. And if you guys haven't been here, you need to come see what he's done to these theaters over here. We can't give up. It can become a lot sometimes when you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, it can.
And no one knows that story but another entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Because we have to be out of our mind to do what we do.
Oh my goodness. Or a love for what we do and the people that we are trying to serve.
And the love for your community. And when you hear, and let me say this, I'm so grateful for the people who have those who came and worked for me, who've been a part of what we do.
You got some amazing people downstairs.
Yes, we have some amazing people. God has blessed us with some amazing people. I have some people that's been there since I opened.
They call them. You must got them locked with some golden handcuffs. Then
they're wonderful people. I know that their families, and that's what it's about. It's about building the community. You know what it makes me feel like when someone tells me that they bought a home, or they got a new car, or they were able to whatever they was able to do. I'll share this, even with being able to offer some to my managers health care.
Wow, man, that's beautiful.
You know what I'm saying?
Now that's beautiful. So wait a minute, so you're building, you're putting components in. Those are modules that you're using.
And so when I may look like I'm sleepy or tired, or you see me, so we try to get over. I got a lot on my mind.
Yeah, I see that.
You have a lot on your mind, a lot that you're trying to do. You got a lot of, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot to come with it. And somebody said something to me one day. They said, "Well, you chose to do that." I said, "You're right." And I can be human. I'm not going to be on 100 every day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be on 100 every day. But as long as God gives me the strength, but that's what you get. That's part, and that comes with it.
And that's a negative way of looking at it. And what I mean by that is this, okay? And I know they'll probably say this about what we're saying. We're not complaining here.
Oh no,
we're educating. We're saying this to other entrepreneurs, and also we're saying to individuals that want to become entrepreneurs. It's possible, because we are you managed to get an understanding of what you need to do. You've grown, right?
Yes. And that.
Now let's talk about your growth.
Yeah.
what are the lessons that you've learned to help offset or prevent some of these things from reoccurring? What are some of the things that you're doing?
I got a lot of those. Well, I mean, one, you have to take note. You have to sometimes sit back. You know what I'm saying? Once you put things in place, say, well, let me do this because this happened. Let me do this because that happened. And you figure out what works. You know, this way may not work. Now you got to come up with this new way. Be willing to even listen to your team. Don't just think it's not a such thing as, I know you came up with your business, but you got a great team. You got to be able to trust them. You know what I'm saying? You have to, some people, you got to trust them at the position you put them in, as long as they're willing to listen. And you got to be willing to listen. That's one thing I learned, because they can have some good ideas. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you, as an entrepreneur, you got to listen to everything that someone gets you, because then you'll be a schizophrenic person.
You're right.
You know, and then going back and learning, because you mentioned something. A lot of times, and I'm gonna get this tip to people, and this answers your question. We jump into businesses with passion, with the care of our community, with wanting to make a change, but we don't know enough information. We don't know what can happen. You have to study your craft. I called somebody the other day about a situation, something that's going on. I said, hey man, how are you handling blah, blah, blah? Has this ever happened to you? You know what I'm saying? Because you're not going to know it all, but you want to dive in.
The minute you do, you're a fool.
Yeah, you want to dive in and you want to educate yourself, because what'll happen is people who when you open a business, everybody calls to sell you something. Everybody's going to sell you something. Once some people see that you don't know something,
oh my God,
they're going to exploit that situation. They're going to make,
and they're going to pass you to the next one before you find out.
Off of your ignorance.
There you go.
Your ignorance will mess you up. Now, there gonna be some things you don't know, but learn from them. You say, okay, I learned this lesson, or I learned that lesson. You know, you got to get things in line. You can't just do it off of passion. You have to find out and research the game. Now, some people not gonna give it to you because they felt like, did nobody give it to them?
And that's so wrong.
You know what I'm saying? They be like,
that's so wrong. Sam, you know how many people I have talked to that say that you have given them advice, you've helped them, you're open to telling them about stuff. That's how you know you will grow. Because see, one of the things that, and see, this comes from your spiritual background. You have to be a servant to others. If you're wondering why you're struggling, you ain't getting nothing. You
what's
can forget
the point,
it,
man? If you're not, and again, open up a business, you're serving your community.
There you go.
You're serving them.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to learn how to be a servant. If you're not a servant first, man, anything else, I don't want to hear you.
It ain't gonna work. Because see, look, what you send out in the atmosphere is coming back. Yeah. And that's biblical from day one. Sam, I want to tell you something, what we are doing here. And the reason that I'm doing this, and I hope maybe if you can squeeze some time, I want you to definitely come and speak to them. What we are doing here is starting January 21st. I'm doing a praise and worship only because I'm an ordained minister, but my role is not on Sunday. My role is during the week.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody got a role. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm doing, I'm trying to counter some of the activity that I notice is happening in the nighttime. Okay. So from 6 to 9 o'clock, I'm doing praise and worship here.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
That's good
and
stuff.
what I'm doing, I'm allowing individuals to come and what they're going to be doing. I want poetry here. I want different Christian groups or gospel and stuff like that. I want a message, different acting. And I'm opening this up to my young.
Yeah.
I want those individuals that are in the ministries, so that's the foundation, because that's the beginning of servitude. That's how you do those things. And a lot of us, and I'm gonna say this to the parents. One of the things is this: you know, if you got a child at home that has some issues, you know every last one. You know every last one of your kids. I have seen so many parents, they use that child like he's a possession. Okay, that's like their car. That's something that do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't raise him up; they dress him up. They don't put nothing inside that kid. They'll put earrings on him. They'll buy him Nikes, polo shirts, the righteous genes, whatever they need, but there
Right.
is nothing in that child. I'm gonna tell you why I know that, because I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of doing that with my kids. Okay. I raised two narcissists, and a lot of parents they can't. I did. I raised two kids that I gave everything to, even to the point I built my daughter a restaurant. Okay. She never understood the value of it. She never appreciated it. And then she turns around, quits because she thought it would hurt us, and goes and works for another restaurant. She had her own. I'm not even going to get into how my son was. That's a total different story. But I think he hurt me the most. He really, I mean, he broke my heart. He really broke my heart. And not one time did I have ill feelings toward him. And the problem was discipline. I never, ever gave them an understanding of why I had to discipline certain things. Yeah. My wife being more passive, okay, they gravitated towards her, of course. But see, all they was doing was using the fact that she would allow them to get away with things. I say that to say this. That's still part of what you're producing in the community. If you don't want policemen to destroy what God has made through you, prepare them to be aware that that's a possibility. Am I right or wrong?
Well, I mean, you want to teach them.
You want to teach them.
You want to teach them. You want to bring your kids up. They're gonna still make their own choices.
They are
when they get older. But if you put it in them,
the foundation,
it'll come back around. And exactly. I can say that because as I sit here, and it looks like I did this and that. I've done some stupid stuff.
Me too.
I've done some things that were against my parents, were their teaching.
But did you ever disrespect your mom or your dad?
Oh no.
Did you ever put your hands on your father? Would you ever hit your father?
Hell no.
Okay.
The Bible says to honor your parents and that your days be long. And when I say that, he's not just talking about when you were a child.
He talking about as an adult.
That's forever. He didn't get no time. My mother, even her friends till this day, she's passed, both of my parents passed, went on to be with God. I still call them Mrs. and Mr. They will forever be that.
That's called respect.
You know what I'm saying?
That's called respect.
Certain things I wouldn't do around my mom.
I'm gonna tell you something, and the reason I say this is because, and I'm just gonna, and I gotta say this because I don't want people to think that I'm just sitting up and talking about my kids. Me and my wife, we made some stupid mistakes. We purchased my kids a house. That's when I was doing okay, so that they would move. We gave them a house and we said, listen, this is your start. You guys work together for this, and then this is your foundation. They lost the house, so I had to go rescue them. Then I built 2 rooms in my basement so that they would not be in the streets. They were young adults then. Now hold on, I didn't stop there. I gave them cars, tried to build them businesses. When that didn't work, I brought them into our business because we were running businesses there. It got to a point, I don't know if you know, my son was shot, I think about 2 years ago. His friend was actually murdered. Okay. Jesus. Yeah, it was. I've been through some drama. I was dealing with this. But I'm going to tell you what's hurt me. I don't share this with many people, but I want you to understand something because my intentions were not to put my kids down. But I want to give this as an example of what parents need to understand. It's all right to love somebody and still know that there's issues with them. So my son, and this really destroyed me. When he got shot, I was kind of worried about him. So I was a little bit over concerned about him. I'm always checking on him and things like that. So he had a situation with my niece, and where her boyfriend, he was zippity boo. You know what that means, straight nuts. So he didn't care. The police, nothing. He tried to get anything, and they had to barricade a door to keep him out. So I said, listen, both of you guys, just come over to the house. I didn't want my son to get, Right, so I invited both of them back over. When I invited them over, I gave them specific rules. I said, listen, you're going to be here a short length of time. Use this time to get on your feet, reorganize, and then move on, right? So that's what I did. Now, I want to know what you would have done in this situation because I'm going to give you something that really hurt me. I'm going to share something that's very personal here. But anyway, what happened was my niece did her thing. She's a hairstylist. She's making a phone call. I mean, why is it with young girls, they just seem to, she rocked and rolled. Oh my God, she was just banging. And then I came to her, I said, okay, baby girl, it's time to go because I got Jordan here and he's got to have that room now. And we was limited, with space. She said, okay, Uncle Dale, I ain't got no problem with that. She got herself together and she moved on. My son, every time I come home, he's smoking bud. He just laying on the couch. He's using my stuff. He's not contributing anything. I said, okay, Jordan, tell you what. From now on, when I leave, you're gonna have to leave. Go get you a little part-time job because you got to double down now. It's one
Right.
job ain't gonna get it. So
Right.
he didn't like it, but he went and did it. And I wanted him to get a car, so he got a car. I was so proud of that brother. And my goal was to just go ahead and let him get an apartment then, which I should have done. But I gave him this. I said, listen, I tell you what, if you save $500 a month, I'm gonna help you buy you a double because the rent was kind of high now.
Right.
Okay, just put $500 away. So I took him to my credit union, opened up the account. He bought him a car, man. He was grinding. The job he got, I actually made a phone call, put him in a program to get him that. Everything this young man has, I had given him, bar none. All of this, I'm right there with him. He going through something, I'm right beside him. Everything we working it out. We working it out, right? Man, I kept coming home. He is toe up, but this what got me. He tells his mother, Mom, those mushrooms in the refrigerator, don't cook with them. They psychedelic. I turned around and looked around the corner. Wait a minute. Did you hear what I said?
Oh yeah.
I realized this. Oh, this brother, he nuts. And I looked at him. I didn't say one word because we clash, you know.
Yeah.
So I waited a couple of weeks. I sat him down. I said, look, man. I said, you're 26 years old. I said, you know, me and you, we gonna have our problems. We done had our problems. I said, I can't deal with this stuff. I said, you gotta go. I said, you're pulling the money out the bank. You try to make me think that you're doing what I said, but you ain't. I ain't charging you no rent. You don't realize the value of this opportunity. So you got to get up out of here. Okay. He ain't say one word. He looked just like this. So I knew what it is. 2 weeks go by. Finally, I come home. He doing the same exact thing. It's even gotten worse. I said, okay, you got to get up out of here now. I've had it. You know what this brother stood and did? He looked at the door, put his hands behind his back like he been watching a rap music, and he said this, I ain't going to MF place. You ain't been speaking to me in 2 weeks. Just walk past me like I ain't here. Hold on. And then he said, besides, where I'm going to go? I said, I don't give a F. When I said that, all hell broke loose. Okay. The boy put his hands on me.
Oh wow.
No, he grabbed me around the neck and punched me in the nose. It took my wife, the neighbor next door, because he escalated. I was trying to kill him. I was going to brick him. And then when I realized when I came, and this one got me, while they holding me, he uppercut me, man. He took me to the streets. Now, how would you feel in a situation like that?
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel if something that you have, that's my only son. He lost his best friend that day. He don't even realize it. I have not been able to reconnect. And that's a problem for me. There is nothing in me. Nothing. And because where I come from, once you put your hands on your father or your mother, it's a wrap. There is not too much that you can say or do. And I'm gonna tell you something. I struggle with that. I'm praying with it because it's something cut off in me for him. And I know, and I'm saying that to you because I know you're a man of God, and I know you are a father. But I'm telling you, Sam, I have not been able to reconnect there. It even went further than that. Then I don't know what he told his sister. His sister then sends a picture to our house of him, her, and my wife without me. My wife hit the roof. She said, that's it. She said, you trying to now break us up. So she said, I tell you what, we ain't divorcing. We're going to divorce y'all. And that's what she did. See, that's the importance of having a woman, because usually a woman will side with the kids. And she loves them. That was the hardest thing for her because she suffers with it. She cries even now. But I have never seen and we created these monsters. They have no understanding at all. Now, for somebody to get online and to say that, I know you must think I'm awful. But one of the problems is, no, really, because that's going. But what I'm trying to say to you is this: if we don't recognize the problems that we have in our own house, if he goes out and does that with anybody else, and then he comes up dead, because they're not going to care like I did, which is possible. That is our first problem in our community. We lie to ourselves to make us feel better.
So your question for me is,
yes, how would you have responded to something like that?
Well, I would what I would like to see is, and I would pray that you all are able to get back to the table and fellowship and talk and pray.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to fast, because the enemy will try to use anything. If he can't get you here, he'll get you there. He'll use your kids, he'll use your spouse, whoever says, "Oh, I'll take on an assignment." That's what happens. So I pray that that you'll be able to figure that out. You know what I'm saying?
I'm struggling with it, and I admit it, because that's a whole lot. When you when you put your hands on me, see,
it's disrespectful. No,
man, he was supposed to walk out that door.
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing else he was supposed to say, and he don't get that.
Right.
All you had to do was to leave.
Right.
That was the respect that I built. That was the respect that I was due. That was the respect that I earned. And that's what I can't get over. That is not even debatable. You can't tell me nothing.
He has to.
All he had to do was walk out my door.
Right.
That was it.
And he has to. You have to turn him over.
I did, to God.
You have to.
I have to.
When you turn it over, do those things I mentioned. But I'm with you. I'm not gonna let nobody
put your hand. No. I don't care how wrong my mama was.
I remember one time little Sam got loud at his mama.
Mm-hmm.
And he I guess he thought he was younger.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I grabbed him. He had his moments. But he get it. He understands. He knows. But yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from. Your kid hits you. Obviously, you want to beat him down. You do what you got to do.
But they stopped me. Thank God they did. Yeah. They did. But the thing that really hurt me was the fact that the respect that I gave him as a son, every mistake he made, I came back and I said, we're going to work through this out. If he didn't like what I was saying, you walk out. You don't take over my house. No. You don't do that. Who do you think you are? No, you walk out my door. And that's the problem now. And then he doubled down. He called me every kind of name there was. So it was even after that.
Last time y'all talked?
We not. And let me tell you something. No, we have not talked. Wow. And let me tell you why we're not going to talk. The reason that we cannot talk is because I don't see understanding there. The very job that he has everything he has. I gave him. Now he don't owe me nothing. That's what a father does. But there's something that a son do. A son respects his father no matter what. And you walk out that door. You may not like what I say, but you say this, Dad, you know what, you're wrong, but I'm going to get on about it because I owe you that. See, I didn't raise a man. He's still a little kid. Then he comes back. He tries to break me and my wife up. He tells my wife this. Well, Dad's just jealous because we closer to you than we are to him. I want him to be closer to my wife. You know why? If anything happens to me, I look for him. I was hoping that he would take that role. But what I've done now, I have nothing for him. And I feel bad. I feel so bad because I don't care about him. And I say that, everybody say, Larry, you can't say that. Let me tell you something, Sam. I come from West Virginia. In my family, you don't put your hands on your parents.
Well, nobody.
You don't do that. Yeah. I don't care. He crossed the line in my heart that I cannot, and I keep trying to jump back. I don't see it. Now, my daughter, I miss her. I'm not going to tell you no lie. And because even though we've had our problems, she never went there. You follow what I'm saying? I do. But with that one there, and I don't know how to reconnect, man.
So I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, one,
I've been praying. I've been fasting, man.
You put it in God's hands, and it might take you to make the phone call.
And let me tell you something.
But look, man.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
That may be.
I can't deal with him. And I will tell you something. Number one, his attitude, but even before that, I'm just noticing.
If you could pick up the phone just to say, or send a text just to say I love you.
Oh, I do that. I did that. Oh, okay. Now I did that. But see, look, he can't come back in my house. See, look, I can't. He can't come back in my house. I love him. I didn't say I don't love him. Let me change that. I love him. I don't love what he's become. You understand? So let me clarify that. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you know your children is monsters, but then you'll defend that monster and you'll send a monster out here into the world. And then when the world kill that monster, you want to look at the popo and everybody else like they're the worst thing in the world. That's not all situations, because there is some terrible police officers. And I'm not even going there because I don't think all police officers are terrible. I think that's isolated incidents when it's like that. But what I am saying is I don't have a playbook as far as being a father. All right. But I showed him what it should be to be one. And what that was is I always just tell him this. I said, I always got your back. I never, ever, not have you. I used to tell him that constantly. And he used to go to jail for tickets and everything. Because I knew so many people in the community, he got away with some stuff, but some stuff he couldn't. And I would say I wouldn't get him out, and I would always go get him out. I deserved the respect that he didn't give me. The one time he was supposed to give me something to show that he appreciated everything I did, he used that to act like he was a rapper. Because that's and then what he did, he took me to the streets. Some of the things he said to me hurt just as bad as when he hit me. Yeah. So what I can't understand is this, and everybody say eventually I get over it. I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening until he grows up. And I'm saying this because it still deals with our community. We need to make sure that if we make a mistake with our kids, we need to own it. I'm owning that today. I love my son. I love my daughter. But that don't mean I got to take their boo-boo or I have to let somebody else take it. That brother ain't half wrong. He all the way wrong. There's some mental stuff going on.
Everybody will.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? What I would say, again, is everything I said. You hit it on the head about our communities and what we need to do on the solutions and fixing it. Is you hit it about mental. He has mental issues. A lot of our families have not went to let your kids go talk to a psychiatrist, or we don't. I went.
Me and my wife had to.
I was having panic attacks, so I went to go see a psychologist.
Black folks don't usually do that. I did that too. Yeah,
I'm currently getting ready to make an appointment to go to see them again, and so that's where a lot of that comes from. So I get it. I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I can go on and on. We all got situations with kids. But
that was to the extreme. I never thought he would go street with me. He called me every BITCHMF, and see all of those things, nigga. And he went so far with me that he took himself so far away from me that I can't find him anymore. And I remember when he was born, I cried. I held him in my arms and I cried. And then to see him become this person. Do you know what? It's not a day that if you want to know what my biggest failure is, I had to take myself out of saying that it was my fault because I was blaming me. My wife was blaming herself of how we raised her. We actually had to go to counseling. And even now I see the effect. They have never not been around us for Thanksgiving. This is the first Thanksgiving they weren't there. And I see the effect that it's having on my wife. So I told my wife, I said, listen, baby, I'm going to be honest with you. You deserve a relationship with them on your terms.
True.
I can't define who she is with my kids, and I will never do that. But I said, I'm not ready to do that. And she told me something that was surprising. She said, I'm not either. And that blew me away because that's the pain that he inflicted. He disrespected her. He disrespected our house, and he disrespected me and my ancestors that came before me. And that's the way I see that. Now, what I say that is that's something that is so transparent. And I'm going to tell you why I did that. Because we all need to be transparent. Our biggest problems is ourselves. We don't know how to admit certain things about who we are or who we are not. And even bigger issues is we accept so much from our kids. And this is just not just occurring in my house. I've heard when I tell people this, they are repeating the same story to me. You know how many times I've said this? You know how many people say, I'm going through the same thing with my daughter. I'm going through the same thing with my son. So whatever is going in, I think we're failing in so many ways in our Black community with our kids, with the way we choose leaders, with the way that we misunderstand what our value system should be in our communities, even trying to build from there. So listen, Sam, I'm not going to hold you no more. I wanted to tell you that. I didn't mean to tell you that. I just got comfortable with that.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
I give you this one real quick before we go. Again, people will have challenges. I've got my friends. I got one. You can talk about him and his mama, and I could talk about my family, things that I've been, especially with boys, fathers and sons can go at it.
Yeah.
But one thing that, without going into details, I'm going to hold on time, is that what I did with one of my sons, I told him how I felt. I let it go. I said, it is what it is. And I just pray for him.
That's all I pray
for
do.
All of them.
Yeah.
Especially because we boys, there's something. This one he get this way, that one he get that way. They feel themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We men, we've been there. And sometimes men can be so stubborn that they can't come together. But what you have to do is, again, I'm gonna say it, turn it over to God.
I have.
And this is not just for you, anybody watching, you turn it over to him and let him work it out. The enemy wants to come in and destroy any type of way or form of fashion that he can, and if we allow him to do that. And so sometimes we have to say, you know what? You said this, you did that, you did this. I've been hit somewhat without me going all the details. I got a story to tell about, you know what I'm saying, about one of my kids. You know what I'm saying? I was pissed. Then, then after that, I was like, oh, that don't bother me no more.
I have not got to that point yet.
I'm telling you, I was like, oh, dude, you can say whatever you want to say. You can go on the internet. Yeah. I don't care. You do you. If that makes you happy, because I treat it as such as, I mean, many people have these situations.
Oh, they cover it up. Yeah, I know people out there right now probably getting their tail whooped by their kids. It ain't gonna happen in mine, baby. I can't do it. Yeah.
Our generation
is something different.
One of the problems that our generation was, the way we grew up, we did not want our kids to go through it as well, right?
That's correct.
We don't need them to go through it, but what happens is we gave them too much.
Yes, we did.
They get this, they get that.
A sense of entitlement.
Your story don't mean nothing. They don't care about what you went through. It doesn't matter to them. That's you. That's your problem.
Oh my God.
That's your thing.
Yes.
But I ain't gonna do this, and you gonna give me that.
Yes.
What we have to do. I've been guilty with it. One of my boys. I'm like, no. I told him, I'm not doing this. I ain't doing that. Like, he loves to play basketball. I'm like, well, I'm not taking you because you to do this and that. I would take him because, well, you hear everybody say he needs to do this. He still needs that outlet. No, the outlet is you going to do what I tell you to do in my home.
That's right.
And what happened again, giving them stuff too much. We work for what we got. They are given. They're gifts.
Now that's our fault.
My grandkids don't want toys. They want these.
Yes.
They want what we're watching. You feel me? So we have to train, and we have to change the game.
Oh, I'm responsible for a lot of that. Yeah, I will say that. I am. Yeah, I am.
Oh, let me give them this.
Right.
Let me give them that.
Yep, I did it.
I did it. My son don't know what it is to take a bus.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
He don't know what it is to stand out on the cold.
No, he don't.
Waiting on a bus to come.
Or even to, hey, listen, what we didn't do.
Only the older ones.
I did not invest in him this. I should have put these values in him. I was too busy doing what I see created that problem, and that was working. I was an overachiever. I worked so that they could live in a good house, a school system, so they could have those things. Yeah. And I thought that certain things would take care of themselves. But even with all that being said, the respect was something see, it's not the rest of it. I could have had this problem with him, but the disrespect of the way that he came, and the fact that you would try to take over my house,
right.
I didn't deserve that. And that's now, even with that being said, don't think I do love him. But daggone, I love him. I do love him.
That's why you talking about it.
That's why I'm talking about it. I love him, but I can't stand him. Okay. And so it's a difference. And if you got some problems out here with your grown kids and you're trying to save them, only Jesus saves. Am I right or wrong?
Tell them about it.
Only Jesus saves. So listen, I'm getting ready to close. I thank you. You had me open here. Hey, LaRon, I want to thank you again for your services. And Sam, I can't thank you enough for putting up with this, but I shared some stuff today, and I appreciate it. I didn't mean for that to come out, so it must be bothering me. Hey, you guys, don't forget, this is From the Hood to the Community. Talk to you later. Just to see your face, your smile.